All right. Good morning, everybody. I won't start with an opening statement. We'll get right to questions because I'm sure you have a lot of them. So, who's first?
PJ, our friend Harvey McKay has a birthday coming up. Do you have a shout out to him?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, happy birthday to Harvey. Harvey's been very instrumental in just my time here. I've got a chance to meet with Harvey. He always says, I only need 37 seconds, just 37 seconds, literally, maybe 36 seconds. And, he's given me some incredible wisdom and perspective in the 6 years I've been here. And he's become a really good friend to me. He's been in our locker room an awful lot, just after games. And he's always just there to be able to talk through some things. And I wish him all the best. And, he's a great friend and look forward to seeing him soon. But happy birthday to him.
Any example of wisdom quickly that resonates?
I don't know if there's one specific one off the top of my head, but I would say that everything he says, he asks where I'm at, right? And I tell him what I'm thinking, where I'm at, and he always has something for that exact way of thinking, of the thing that I'm going through. And I think that's what makes him special. It's not just something in some broad terms. He really breaks it down to what I'm doing, what our team is doing, and really kind of hits home the message. But the one thing that always sticks out to me is exactly I need 37 seconds. It's not really 37 seconds, trust me, but that's how he gets in the door.
PJ, do you have an update on Tanner and the quarterback situation this week?
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure everybody's going to ask that. First of all, Tanner's doing very well. Woke up on Sunday morning and surprisingly felt really good, which is great. He was evaluated at the medical center right after the game, which I know all of you saw. He was cleared by the medical teams and the medical staffs of where he was at to be able to fly home with the team. We held the plane a little bit longer so he could finish up his testing and flew home with the team as well. But that stuff's out of my hands. I just know that I know he appreciates all the prayers, thoughts, support, text messages from everybody. I know we do as well as a team. But again, surprisingly, woke up, felt really good. But he's in our medical cares, under that umbrella right now. So, but he's doing very well. And in terms of the quarterback situation, we have other quarterbacks that can play if he's not able to go. But that's not necessarily just ruled out yet. So. But I'm not the one in charge of all those decisions. That's our medical team, and I know that he's in very, very good care, and he's doing really well.
When you watch back the tape, what has to change at the receiver position for them to find more consistency?
Yeah, two things. We got to be able to create separation, and then we got to be able to make the plays that present itself. It's simple. I mean, when we were able to catch the ball in traffic and make plays, we're really good. I watched the Michigan State game. We're able to do that. Same guys, making plays in traffic, contested catches, playing big. But when we don't do that, that doesn't allow our offense to be balanced. And then we become one-dimensional really quick. We played really that's one of the best defenses in the country. In fact, I think the number one defense in the country. And they are that good. And so when you get behind the sticks on them, it discourages you to be able to keep going with the pass game because we only had, I think, 19 plays in the first half. I mean, you got an All-American tailback back there, so – but you better be able to catch the ball when it's thrown to be able to move efficiently down the field. Same thing when people play against our defense. If you take last game out of that, I don't think we played to the level of what we're capable of playing last week, but that's usually what we do to people. Get people behind the chains and make you earn it in pass game and make some decisions and that you normally wouldn't do, get you out of your game. But when we don't execute, remember, everything we've done has been more self-inflicted. All due respect to the people we've played, but we've had opportunities that we didn't come up with. And you can think of 4 or 5 catches off the top of your head that in the last 2 games and have made the chances of us winning go down. And we've got to be able to overcome those things.
After watching film, where do you want to see improvement from the defense?
Well, I think that for us, Coach Rossi and I, we came in on Sunday, actually Saturday night on the plane, but Sunday, we would have loved to come in and say, man, we screwed up this, we screwed up this. We wanted it to look like that, where it was a lot of like mental things. It really wasn't. It was a missed tackle here and there. It was kind of it was too tight of a fit here. It was just eyes in the wrong spot here. But when you play a great team like that and they've got a really good tailback, that's what, again, we usually do to people. We can expose you that way because the talent of the player exposes the minor detail of what was off on defense. But it wasn't a schematic thing. It wasn't people were out of position. We either missed a tackle. They'll consider it a broken tackle. We'll consider it a missed tackle. That's football. We just got to tackle better. And then we just have to be able to be really keyed into our details. And the better teams you play, the details come to the surface more and more. And that's what we worked on yesterday.
Is Morgan going to practice tomorrow? Is that the plan right now?
Well, I haven't got an update yet, Andy, from the medical team yet. I usually get that in the afternoon about tomorrow's practice. So we'll see what they say. I know he'll be at practice for sure. And again, my policy, especially with quarterbacks or somebody who's played a ton of football, right, is you don't have to practice throughout the week until you get to the end of the week, and then you have to be able to show that you can do something. But the Tuesday, Wednesday, people always say, "Well, you got to practice by Wednesday, or you're probably not ready to play football." I agree with that, depending on who it is. But I think it's a case-to-case basis. So we'll see how he feels. But I know this, our medical staff's not going to do anything that puts Tanner's life, safety, health in jeopardy. I do know that for a fact because this is so far out of my control.
Cole recovered enough, PJ, to play Saturday if that's the situation?
Well, we'll find out. I mean, he was at practice yesterday and did a lot of things with us, so we'll see what that looks like. But, we've got some decisions to make today as we keep going forward based on the information that we'll get. And then, we have three quarterbacks that can play football, and we'll decide which one, if we get to that point, which one will do that.
How do you feel about Ethan if Tanner can't go?
Well, if Tanner can't go, then it's really up between Cole and Ethan, right? But again, it's one of those things when you look at it, I mean, I like them both. I think Cole's got a lot more experience, but when you look at Ethan, I mean, he's really talented. It's just, what will he be able to process, bring all in, go out there and execute? But those are the decisions we'll make as we keep going forward. But I'll have confidence in whoever's out there, that's for sure.
PJ, we didn't see Trey on Saturday. What's going on with him? And we did see Evans dress for the first time.
Yeah. They kind of swapped a little bit, right? Evans is back, which is really good. Adds a little depth. Our freshman tailback, Zach Evans, he's back from his surgery. So he had a great week of practice last week. So he's back in the mix. Trey was held out last week from our medical staff. Kind of won't disclose that, but he was held out by the medical team. You saw him warm up. He traveled. He practiced, but they held him out. But he's back this week, so he'll be ready to go.
Quentin Redding popped off a big return. What does he bring to the team as a return man?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw that. It wasn't about just the return. If you watch after the return, the whole team's running down the sideline. I'm shocked we didn't get a penalty. We're running down the sideline because everybody's just so excited. For him, he is a walk-on freshman that has done everything we've asked of him, from scout team to this to that, just wants to help the team. He's a 550-pound squatter, and he's not that big of a guy, but you saw it. He broke, 2 or 3 kind of ankle shoestring type tackles and didn't break stride. It's exciting to have that type of player that's a freshman within the mix that can do that, because our guys worked their tail end off on that return. But he also did a pretty good job with his vision, broke a tackle here and there, and then, brought it all the way to the 8-yard line. We haven't had that before. And that's a kid that loves his role. He understands his role. I'm sure as we go through, his career here, he's going to have a bigger role, but embraces it right now. It's good it makes you feel good of something that you felt like, all right, we got to find a returner out of this year. And he stepped in. And it's one of those things, you can always go, but it's a perfect role for him right now. And I know he's going to continue to work for a bigger role, but he's a guy that'll embrace that role, love that role, and give everything to his teammates. He might be one of the most popular kids on this entire football team, on and off the field in a good way, because he just works so hard, and everybody's just so happy for him when he has success. And he's earned it. Nobody deserves anything. He's earned everything that he's gotten. And, we expect that to continue to happen. So hopefully that helps. That's the shot in the arm that could really spring something forward, that you get that self-confidence that you can do that. You can. I mean, he did that in our one of our scrimmages. We actually had one of our scrimmages in training camp. We actually went live in the special teams. We got to find a returner, put them all back there. First one he catches, goes to the house. We're like, we think that's the guy. And He did the same thing the other night. So that was a great shot in the arm for us, especially when we were struggling to get some traction. We end up scoring off of that. And those are the things that we're going to need to have happen for us as we keep moving forward.
What stands out when evaluating Penn State?
They're Penn State. I mean, they're really, really talented at every position. They're big, they're long, they're physical. They got a lot of experience. A lot of guys were on that team in 19 that we played that are a lot older now. They've got a really long, aggressive secondary. We've recruited some of those guys, so we know them personally. They got a lot of young tailbacks that are really talented. I mean, they're Penn State. They're well coached. James does such a great job. I have such respect for him and what he's been able to accomplish. I mean, when you read what James has actually done there, it's amazing. Like when you read what he's done consistently over the years, it's consistency. And sometimes in our profession, we sit there and we talk about break the boring, right? Everybody's like, all right, yeah, to stay at the top like that and to do what he's done and the sustainability he's had, it's pretty impressive. So they're a really good football team. We're studying them as we speak right now. So,
PJ, before the year, you talked about a rotation at right tackle. How do you look at that spot now?
Well, I think that right now, I think that Quinn Carroll's solidified himself as the right tackle. I feel really good about what he's been able to do. I think sometimes, like perceptionally, when you watch a game, you might sit there and say, oh, well, at one game, maybe the O-line didn't play particularly well. I thought they played well enough for us to win last week. I'm not saying they dominated because I think that's one of the best front sevens in the Big Ten. And I get to see those things. But I get to also see what we're doing and why we're calling it and what we need out of it. I mean, you go back to Purdue, we didn't play well at tailback. And we missed a lot of holes. And we usually don't do that. I'm not saying we're perfect up front, but that right tackle position, I feel really good where Quinn is and how much better he's getting. Remember, this is his first quality time playing big-time football. He's got 3 years total level, 2.5, right, to really kind of solidify himself as a really good offensive tackle. But he's always in there grinding on film. I I walk by the O-line where he's in there right now. Just here we are at 10 o'clock in the morning. He's already in there watching film on his own. So I think he's done a really nice job of getting into that role and getting that significant playing time for the first time. And every game I see him just get a little bit better. Now, again, we're playing really good people. And I think sometimes we take that for granted because, all right, I'm going to get on a soapbox for a second. The perception, right, I think from the outside and expectations are very different than internal aspirations, right? But, we don't beat Purdue and we don't beat Illinois. Well, what do those two teams have in common? Well, one, we had a chance to beat both of them in the fourth quarter. They're always tight games with us, and they're both ranked. So we played a ranked Michigan State team in one of the polls and beat them, right? And then we come back and play two more now ranked teams that people don't know how good you are until you go through the season, right? And we think we're pretty good. They think they're pretty good. Something has to give. We didn't execute. They did in some moments, and they won the football game. But they're narrow games. It's not. Anybody can win those, and those are the two teams that are ranked. And now we come back and play another ranked team. So I told our team yesterday. I said, perceptionally from the outside, people hear names like Minnesota, or they hear names like Indiana, or they hear Purdue, or they hear Illinois, and they're like, well, they're ranked. They're really good football teams, and that's a credit to what those coaches have done and their programs and their staff. But that's what I think from the outside. That's why the internal message is way louder than the external, because we're playing really good football teams right now. And we're going to play good football teams as we go forward, play another ranked team this week. But when you're playing ranked teams and you're playing really good football teams, the execution of what you do and how you do it goes way up. And the margin for error is a lot smaller, right? And, we played really well at Michigan State. We executed. That is what we're capable of doing. We showed that. We did that for the first 3 games. But when we don't execute, we're not a superhero. Right? We're human like everybody else. And when you play really good teams that execute, you're going to get beat. That's football. And we're learning lessons as we keep going through the season. And we just need to apply that. So Quinn Carroll's doing a nice job.
PJ, you usually do some unique stuff in the week when you guys go on the road. Is there anything unique that you'll do going into Happy Valley at night?
Like to set up for it?
Yeah, to set up like practice.
Yeah, you remember during COVID, people would take all their pots and pans and bang them together outside the windows. Remember that? Remember they were doing that, in like Europe and things like that, We asked all the apartments across the street to do that for us throughout our practice time. So I'm just kidding. It's about as funny as I get, Ryan. That's about it. No, we are going to, we're going to create an environment in practice, which you all been there. It's chaotic to begin with. We're going to turn it up a whole different notch. I mean, there's 109,000 people, and it's a whiteout. It's at night, and again, national TV. That's all part of college football, but we'll get ourselves ready for that the best we possibly can. So. I promise you, we'll create that environment, inside there. And Matt Childers, our video director, has got a heck of a challenge this week, and but we'll make sure it's deafening, because that's what it'll be on Saturday night.
As part of that, PJ, do you do a night practice or walkthrough or anything like that? Because it is a night game and the lights and all that.
Yeah, we do all that stuff really in training camp. We do night practices during training camp. We've had night games already this year, but when you get into the season, it's harder because of the academic schedules. You got guys with night class, and you can't switch that around right now. And we need them going to class, right, and keep getting good grades and doing what they need to do in their studies. So we'll keep it in the morning. But we did all that. You prepare for all that while you don't have classes, and that's why we do a few practices during training camp at night. Prepare yourself for night games, which we've already had. They'll be ready to go.
More for Coach?
What stands out when you look at Tyler Newman and his performance and the way he sort of brings out the best in the other players in the defense?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a passionate player. I think he's one of the better players in the conference at that position. He makes us better. He plays with such a passion and enthusiasm and spirit, and he plays with incredible emotion. And he never gets really emotional, and I love that about him. He doesn't cross that line, and he brings that energy, and it's infectious. He's one of the best leaders on our team, one of the best players on the team. He's got to keep getting better, and I think he knows that. But we rely on him for a lot of things back there, and we got to play better. It's simple. We all have to play better. Last week we just didn't play as well defensively, and offensively we didn't have a lot of opportunities, but you got to take advantage of the opportunities, and especially in a game like that where people have very similar philosophies. We got to play better, and I know our guys will, and they've learned a lot in the last 2 weeks. So, got to get ready for a heck of an opponent this week.
We have one more. Is everyone else set? Yeah, PJ, are you at all surprised that on the hit on Tanner on that punch that there wasn't a flag? I mean, I know the guy's trying to knock the ball
Yeah,
out.
I think that's got a lot of traction. No, I'm not. Here's the deal. I have a ton of respect for Coach Bielema, and he called me right after the game, and he saw the hit, and we talked about it. And I said, "This football. I mean, the guy's going for the ball. I mean, you don't know. We all teach players to go punch the ball out. He's going in there to punch the ball. There was no intent, and Tanner didn't take it that way. I didn't take it that way. I told Coach Bielema the same thing. I mean, I appreciate the phone call. It means a lot, but I said, you can't worry about that. It's football. It's different than a blatant shot that has nothing to do with a football hit. But they're taught to punch the ball out. And I see that, and Tanner knows that, and he would never take offense to that. And I've already talked to him about it. He hasn't, and that's part of football.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yep, appreciate it. Row the boat, Sky Gophers. Thanks, everybody.